Hey there, hi there, ho there. Welcome once again to Disney Compendium. This is volume 18. This is a big one for me in particular. We are talking about the December 25th, Christmas Day opening, 1963. Uh, The Sword in the Stone. I am your host, as usual, JJ, and over there on the other end of the tin can and string, my good buddy Nick. Nick, how are you?
Whoa, what? Fall down. Whoa, what?
Uh, but Nick, this
Yes.
is the first time I have seen this movie. It feels like period. I know it's not. I with 100% certainty know it's not. But I haven't seen this in probably over 20 years, and it was almost all new to me. I'd forgotten virtually this entire movie.
And the contrast there is I watched it 2 weeks ago of my own free will. So,
So we know your opinion out the gate already.
yeah, yeah.
Based off of the 1938 novel
Mhm.
by T.H. White, it ended up turning into like a book series, an actual major series of the Once and Future King. Um, they pretty much scooped this up early. Like the rights to this movie were scooped up early.
And it's also just based off our theory and legend as well.
Yeah, yeah. It was basically the book itself was like, hey, like, what if I told the prequel to King
Yeah.
Arthur? And
Let,
so,
let, let's cut out the incest part.
yeah. But yeah, we just we're gonna show you how King Arthur became King Arthur,
Yeah,
and so um, uh, this movie out the gate starts with a song. Like
it does.
it starts off with their typical Disney opening credits of like book style, showing you everyone that was worked on the movie set to a sort of chorus based intro.
Sword in the
Yeah,
stone.
but then it just immediately after that's the credits are over, it just cuts into another song, an actual like song, like
Yeah.
the exposition, the song, uh,
Yeah.
where they're telling the story of the King of England, King Pendragon's death.
Earther.
Um,
Yeah, it's Earther Pendragon.
yeah, yep, and and so it's just explaining what the sword in the stone is, and it's an important thing because the sword in the stone angle of this doesn't reappear until the very end.
Yeah, yeah,
Spoilers. Yeah, it's you get the exposition of like, and so this is what happens, and then the swords, and this, he who pulls it will be the once and future, all that
right.
nonsense, and then that's it. Then it's no more sword in the stone until like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Now it's just like here's a sword. We'll get back to that. Now it's just character development for the next
Yeah,
hour.
yeah. Uh, yeah, this is the extent of the movie that I remember, where where with Merlin, we're introduced
Right.
to Merlin, and
Who's
and his
great? Who's
oh,
just great?
so good. It's the I, him and Archimedes
God,
are such a good duo. Like
yes.
I could do a entire franchise of just these two on adventures together because they play off of each other really well and they're fun through the entire movie.
Yep.
um,
You want a buddy cop Archimedes Merlin movie?
yeah, it could happen. Spoilers. He throughout the movie, Merlin is dropping 20th century references throughout the entire movie because he
Right.
can see into the future, so he knows all this stuff.
Yeah.
um, so it, so it could happen. He at one point towards the end of the movie, again spoilers, he just goes off into the future and you don't see him.
Yeah.
It's
He comes.
spoilers. They We understand that he can see into the future and that he sees these things coming. They don't really hint until he goes off to Bermuda that he can also just go to the future.
Yes. Yes,
His
Merlin
magic.
is a
Yeah,
is a mystical Doc Brown in that sense.
yeah. He is. I mean, he is. He has some sort of infinity stone. Clearly, he
The
has
Time
got this.
Stone.
Yeah, he has the time stone or something because his magic is seemingly limitless.
Seemingly.
Yeah,
But he still manages to be a bumbling old goof.
yeah, and I think that's what makes him like he is the most powerful being on the planet, but he has such a laissez-faire attitude about existence in general, or he's just kind of
Yeah.
bumbling his way through scenarios. But so you're introduced to him, and he's like setting up the room, talking with the owl. I do like the introduction of the owl because he pokes his head out. He's like,
Yeah.
who, and it's like just that. But then it goes into who are you
Yeah.
talking about, kind of
Yeah.
like stuff. And it's like, oh, so it's a talking owl. Okay, trying to trick
Archimedes,
you out the gate.
yeah, Archimedes and his fussy old man thing.
Yeah, through that the entire movie, which is a which is a character that he will absolutely bring back very shortly.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so he's setting up the room because a guest is coming, and you see him like imagining the scenario that's playing out, which is where you're introduced to um, Arthur
Wart.
Wart, uh,
Yeah.
and what's uh, I always forget the names are terrible for me. What's the guy's name? That's not. I know it's Sir
His brother
Ector is the dad, is the foster dad.
K.
Yeah,
K is his Brock Lesnar
yeah.
brother.
He's the effectively the Gaston of this movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Only
it's
dumber.
yeah, only yeah, but and yeah, and he's trying to be Kay's squire.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so they're like you're seeing like Arthur's or Merlin's projecting the sort of like you're seeing Kay hunting for a deer. It's a deer, right? Yeah,
Yes.
in the woods, and Wart just uh, being a kid screws it up and goes into the off into the woods to retrieve the arrow that he made him fire recklessly into the woods and miss the deer
Well,
as he's being tracked down by a wolf.
so this first part.
Yeah,
It sets a precedent because okay, so Arthur Wart, whatever,
yeah. We're gonna
he's on
call
a
him. We're gonna call him Arthur from here on out.
yeah
We just want you to know that we know that he's Wart.
yeah. K and actor referred to him as Wart.
Yeah,
Um, but anyway, he's on a branch to like get a better look at the kill,
yeah,
and he falls and he knocks K off balance like JJ mentioned, but
yeah.
he does this thing where he goes, "Whoa, what?" and he falls, and that is a thing that he does no less than 10 times in this movie.
Very
He
true.
falls and
Yeah,
says, "Whoa, what?"
yeah.
It's never used in any other Disney film.
a, a lot doesn't get used again in very many
Yeah,
movies. Merlin's the only one that has any sort of staying power for this.
yeah,
I'm going to say this about this movie. Um, it is not a good looking movie. Um,
no,
it's
no, it's
actually
not.
the backgrounds in particular in this movie are uh, on the verge of hideous.
Yeah,
um, and it's a very even like the lines on the characters themselves. I mean, it just gets worse throughout time because now we're watching high definition transfers of these things and stuff. But they're very rough lines on the characters and stuff. Like the character designs are all very good, but
yeah.
um, everything else just like the backgrounds are bad, the building designs are bad. Um, the only thing that looks half decent is like Merlin's dilapidated tower. In
Oh, his leaky tower.
his
Yeah,
leaky tower because like the grossness of everything in this movie works to its advantage. Um, but like it's definitely a animation is
Secondary.
It's not even secondary anymore at the studio at this point.
It's fifth dairy.
Yeah, at this point in time, we've got Disneyland is open.
Yep.
Walt's already thinking about Disney World. Live action is a big thing. TV is a big thing. Music is a big thing for the studio. It's now this multi-branched uh, entertainment studio, and cartoons like you just had, with Sleeping Beauty was an absolute failure, and 101 Dalmatians did fine. Walt really didn't like it.
Yeah.
Uh, so he's already half checked out. Now he's even more checked out. He's gonna by this is the last movie that comes out, animated movie that comes out while Walt's still alive.
Makes sense.
So he's by the time we get to the next cartoon, Walt's dead. So he's on his way out. He's already working on, like his last big outing is going to be like Mary Poppins,
right?
Which is going to come out at around this time as well.
Well, I mean, you can't really, you really can't blame the studio though in that sense because, like, as far as things taking a backseat because, okay, so they clearly went all out with Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
Beautifully animated, and it bombed. 101 Dalmatians is ugly as homemade soap, and that movie did great. So
and it's where they start, and it proved that the whole Xerox thing it works and it's fine, and nobody's going to complain about it. So and this is also the first animated feature to feature the Sherman Brothers music, which boy, you can tell it's very Sherman Brothers-y.
Higgins
Figgis is very, 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 because that's becomes their thing is like fake words,
right?
Because they're gonna one of the next movies after this is Mary Poppins, like we said, and Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious is a massive success of a song, and you can see sort of the sort of groundwork being set for some of these songs.
Yeah, it's like when you. Like when you hear a song, you're like, "Oh, that's John Williams."
Yeah,
you just know it's a John Williams song. It's the same way.
Yeah, you can tell that this is absolutely the same people that wrote Supercalifragilistic and a lot of and It's a Small World and things like that. Like it's got this, it's got a very sing-songy children's song pentameter to it. Like
it's bouncy.
Yeah, it's bouncy. It's designed to get into your brain and to make you think, Higgins Piggins or Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious or It's a Small World or whatever. Mm-hmm. So they're very good at pop music, which is why, I mean, this isn't the first time they've worked with Disney. They had done some Mouseketeer music stuff for like music stuff and TV stuff and things. So like, they are pop musicians essentially at this time. But this is their first like animated feature. They don't do very many animated Disney features because, again, we talked about it last week, but this is actually probably the first time where in a while where it actually feels like a musical because it goes back to the music a few times throughout.
It does. It does.
Much more than like
Merlin.
Yeah. Merlin's a singy dude in this, and it opens up with a song, and again, and I'm trying to think like it turned like it was like Higginbottom was what they took. Like they took an English name and sort of worked it down to that higgity-figgity kind of stuff.
That's where Shawn Michael Higginbottom.
But
that's a shoot name, brother.
Yeah, I'm just at this point. I feel like I'm just gonna fold the production history stuff into this one because it's into everything as we go along because it gets a little tricky when you come to the end and you try to shove in production history stuff. But so now we're going to so anyways, he's setting up the room back to where we were in the movie,
right?
Because he knows that he's going to come through the ceiling, and he does after he's escaping from the wolf and everything. He falls into Merlin's house, right into the chair.
Yep.
And this is where they meet. Boy, it just it's full steam ahead. Merlin, it takes nothing for Merlin to just agree to like he's packing up and ready to go to the castle with Arthur.
He's like, what are your dreams, aspirations? Oh, I don't know. Well, that's not good enough, so I better follow you home. And that's what he does.
Yeah.
Higgins, where he shrinks everything in his house.
Yeah, and like, and yeah, everything. Again, his magic knows no limits. He shrunk every last thing to fit into a doctor's bag, essentially.
Yeah,
and
I don't want to overlook how that jerk of a sugar pot he has. I don't know. He's Merlin has a sugar pot that is it's alive, I guess.
I don't know like what the he's able to will everything to be alive as he needs it to be. It seems like. So he's certainly not going to bring the sugar with his bare hands to Arthur. So he wills it into existence to bring him the sugar.
Oh my god! Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how Avengers disassembled
Unraveled. Yeah, no, this is very much just it's early Ultron.
Or early Ultron. But yeah, he packs all the stuff up, and he and Arthur go back to Arthur's dumpy looking castle.
I guess, like, because he needs to go. Because he won't stay with Merlin, which that's a smart move, kid. You just met this dude 30 seconds ago. An old creepy man that lives out in the middle of the dark woods wants you to stay with him. It's a good instinct to like, I gotta go. It's a bold move for Merlin. It's a bold move for Merlin to just do it, and the kid doesn't put up a fight, which is kind of like, really? You're just gonna? All right, well, I guess. And it just happens. Like, he gets there and he vaguely threatens them with magic.
Right. He creates a blizzard inside the house and it snows on Hector's head.
Yeah.
No, the thing is, in the little divergent here in the Arthurian legend, when Arthur's born, Merlin leaves baby Arthur with Kay and Hector.
Yeah.
And in this part, they're just now being introduced to the character. So it's
it's Star Wars at this point. Obi-Wan Kenobi, like Luke Skywalker, with
right down to the haircut and build.
Yeah. A decade before Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's just stories are stories. Of course, you're going to adapt this kind of stuff when you need a character development. But
I mean,
so like, he basically, like, they're getting ready, they're trying to throw him out, but he basically says, like, you can throw me out, but look, I can turn invisible. And how do you know I'm gone? You don't. So listen up, pal. I'm gonna be here. Like, all right, I'm not dealing with this. You go over there and be there. And it's funny because there is it's only like the very vaguest of a plan from Arthur. Like, or not Arthur, from Merlin. Like, he clearly wants to train him, but he has no, like, direction, I guess. Like, he just kind of is doing it for the sake of doing it because he feels ordained to, essentially, at this point.
Like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
I also kind of love, like, how Hector keeps calling him Marvin. Yeah. Listen here, Marvin.
Yeah. Hector's a good character because he doesn't come across as brazenly evil.
Yeah.
As like the, Wicked Witch kind of characters we were familiar with, like evil step parents we're used to be familiar with. I mean, he's a jerk, but more period appropriate jerk. Like you are just this adopted kid and you're never going to be a knight. You can't be. So,
right.
You do what you're told. You're just a child, and at best you can be a squire, which is not, like, at the time, being a squire really would have been a good enough deal for this kid.
Right.
but that's not the story. The story is, he's the once and future king kind of thing. Uh, so what's going to happen. You know the whole plot. So it retroactively makes Ector seem like even more of a jerk because you know what the outcome's going to be going into this. There's no way for him to know that he could possibly be king. He's just treating the kid how this kid would have been treated then. Which, it's not great, but that's not even good. But he's far less evil than any of. He's never at no point does he try to kill him or anything.
No.
Or take anything away from him other than just keeping the squireship at his behest. And he does run off with this old man to do stuff. And if somebody comes back with you, okay, so we'll get into the next sort of major thing after we're doing the whole, there's going to be a jousting tournament at this point, and so they're training for that. Kay's training for that. Arthur is doing his stuff, and Merlin wants to train him about, brain smarts as opposed to physical smarts.
Yeah.
So that's when you get his little physics lesson, essentially. Turns him into a fish.
Turns him into a fish. Yeah. We should kind of point out that the jousting tournament, because nobody pulled the sword from the stone.
Yeah.
I guess they got together and said, okay, we're going to have a jousting tournament. Whoever wins that's our king. Because this sword thing ain't happening.
It's clearly not happening. The NWA got together to agree on how they're going to crown their new champion.
Yeah. it's a WrestleMania 4 tournament.
Yeah. Winner shall be named King of England. So
Kay's gonna get a bye when Hogan and Andre get double DQ'd. So
yeah. Well, and it's funny. So with this, I'll get to some of the stuff later after we cover the fish stuff. So yeah, they get turned into a fish, and so he's teaching him how to be a fish. It's basically
fish.
It's a way of teaching him physics, essentially.
Right.
To teach him how, without, you can't, because I think Archimedes says it best because throughout the movie, Merlin is constantly making references to things that happen in the deep future. Like when they come to announce the jousting tournament. And he's like, big news. Oh, like, I don't have time to read it in the London Times. That's not going to be around for another 1,200 years. Stuff like that. It's filled with jokes like that. And later on in the movie, Archimedes says, like, you can't teach it backwards, And so, how do you teach physics to a person that has no even, like, the society as a whole doesn't even have an idea of what gravity is, they do this whole thing where it's like the Earth isn't flat like this map is showing you, and he has a globe there, explaining to him that the Earth is round. And stuff.
This is AJ Styles' least favorite movie.
So yes, this is the Flat Earth Society gives this 0 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
But it turns into this, just like this frog is screwing with Arthur as
Fish Arthur
as he's trying to learn everything, and then a giant massive jerk of a pike is in here just trying to just destroy everybody, and so it turns into like essentially a car chase scene of a fish chasing another fish, and Archimedes ends up swooping in to help him out and everything.
Well, so Merlin turns Arthur into a fish, and then he turns himself into a fish, and then this pike is chasing Arthur, and Merlin's like, "Well, you're going to figure it out, dude."
Yeah, hides into like a sunken knight's helmet that's in this. And then are they in the? They're in a. I just thought
a moat or a keep or something.
Yeah, but yeah, so he just hides in there. It's like, you're on your own, pal.
Yeah, like what a jerk.
and it's sink or swim in the very realist sense here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You know what's funny? Talking about all these animals and stuff. When they were making this movie, um, there was two movies that this could have been.
Okay.
That were in production basically in the production at the same time. They're working on the scripts at the same time. Bill Pete he doesn't do storyboards first like they usually do. He writes the script first and storyboards later, which is the exact opposite of how they usually stuff. And then you had the other team that was so it was going to be Sword in the Stone or Chanticleer.
Huh.
And it eventually came down to, and like Walt's sort of like, and sort of general consensus, except for the people that were working on Chanticleer, were upset that all of our hard work was for nothing. That like you don't want to just pick up a rooster and pet it or anything. Like there's no like you can't. It's hard to humanize a rooster. It's just a weird, but like. Joke's on them. They tried to make this movie again later. Rockadoodle was a massive failure. So, and Disney was still at the time when Rockadoodle came out. They were still like Chanticleer was still sort of on the table, but then that was a failure. And they're like,
you know what?
You can't.
Like thanks, Don Bluth, for taking that bullet for us.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bluth, and I bring him up a lot in these episodes. You go back to the character design. Do you get a kind of like a Dragon's Lair vibe from the character design of this movie?
Yeah. It is very clearly going to like. I feel like this movie is very clearly going to inspire Bluth in the coming years when he shows up at Disney and other animation studios and stuff, doing his thing. Like, because it's a very like. In particular, their faces all seem very Bluth, especially with like
Kay.
Yeah.
Cut Kay's hair and he's Dirk.
Yes, exactly. Or it's like, or like if you take Kay and Arthur, like they could very easily just be the main protagonist from Space Ace, like just both versions of him.
Right?
The scrawny one and the Ace himself, kind of thing. So yeah, they very much, those characters in particular really feel very Bluth-like, especially in those arcade games. So yeah, so the whole, so I thought that was fascinating. It's like, wow, Chanticleer, we almost got it. Instead of this, we almost got a Disney Chanticleer, which I don't know, like, that doesn't seem very Disney-like. Like, for them, like, it's a very thick story to tell. Well, I don't know. But they could have pulled it off, but I feel like they made the right choice here.
In about a decade or so, Disney's going to get a anamorphic rooster and nail it, and they should never go back again.
Absolutely. Yeah. But that's for a future episode. We're all just going to have the best time on. But yeah, so yeah, the whole fish thing. Eventually, he gets saved by Archimedes. Archimedes tries to play it off like he was just trying to get the fish.
Archimedes, despite Archimedes is a solid dude, whether he wants you to believe it or not.
Yeah. So after all this, and it causes Arthur to be late to the practice for the jousting, and so he goes back and inexplicably tells them this story. Like, through no thought in his brain says, maybe I should just let this one slide, that I got turned into a fish and then a big fish chased me. Like, do you think that they're gonna believe you?
Well, I mean,
I guess Marla at the same time,
snow in their house.
Yeah, but clearly nobody's bright in your household.
No.
But regardless, he was late, so he got his demerits. So
yeah.
So now he has to go clean all of the dishes in the kitchen, which, of course, much like the Cat in the Hat, Arthur decides there's a better way to do this, and then we can have fun instead.
Yep.
So he comes in, he enchants the dishes to clean themselves.
To clean themselves. Well, before that, like just before this, so actors reading Arthur the Riot Act, and Kay's sitting there, and he's eating like 20 drumsticks. And just like ripping them off the bone. Like,
yeah,
what?
I do like the scene. I can't remember. No, it must have been earlier when they were trying to say like when after he gets like I can't remember if it's this scene or it's like where it's just a one-off scene where he's just sitting there. It's like I don't even want him as my squire. Just like real pouty about Arthur being his squire. Yeah. I just like the delivery of that line.
Yeah, like Kay's just a big dumb idiot.
Yeah. He doesn't have like the only character he has is Biff Tannen.
Yeah.
And there's no character development for him. That's just how he stays. Even after Arthur gets declared king, like Hector has to go, kneel down. He's the king.
He's a king.
Yeah.
And he still gets a boo-boo face about it.
Yeah, he's like, I should be king. Yeah. I was going to win that jousting tournament, even though the tournament didn't start. You'd shown absolutely zero prowess at being good at this.
You got knocked off by a practice dummy.
Yeah. But you know what? As back to him enchanting the dishes so they can go out, gets to one of this is an incredibly upsetting series of events that are about to unfold here. According to you, this is the scene that everyone remembers. I absolutely do not remember any of this. They get turned into squirrels. They turn themselves into squirrels.
To squirrels.
Yes.
And in the process, Arthur's a young boy squirrel now.
Yes.
And a female squirrel falls in love with him. And she's super into him. And Merlin's like, oh, guess what? When female squirrels pick mates, they're mates for life. So there you go, buddy.
Yeah. He does absolutely nothing to help him. He says, you just got to let it happen, essentially.
That's what makes. And he sings another song.
He sings another song about effectively the birds and the bees without doing such. About nature in general. And he's trying to get away. This squirrel is trying to get in his squirrel pants this entire scene. Does not stop.
Chica?
Yeah. He's talking. She can't. And he's trying to, I'm a human. I am not this, but she doesn't understand it. And he doesn't understand it. And then it's genuine. I found it genuinely upsetting.
Yeah. It's for a variety of reasons.
I think the thing that I found also, the end of all of it, I think the thing that I found the most upsetting was the fact that Merlin's end game was unclear.
I don't.
Because he was kind of implying to just let it happen, kid.
You're gonna have to mate with her.
Yeah, it really comes across that way. Listen, you're either gonna have to kill her or let her.
Yeah.
At any given point, he could have just turned him back into a human, and it would have been over.
But Merlin isn't tempted to do anything until he's inconvenienced by another.
By the hefty squirrel.
Yes. I call her Roseanne Squirrel.
Yes.
When I was a kid, I think it's Roseanne Squirrel.
Yeah. It is I do. He learned nothing because it was supposed to be teaching him about gravity and stuff, but being a squirrel doesn't teach you jack about
anything.
About anything. He didn't learn anything through this other than a very poor introduction to the birds and the bees, essentially.
Yes.
And it's like he wanted him to just have sex with the squirrel. It's as if that was his goal at the end of all of this.
Well, also, our friend the wolf makes an appearance. So again, Arthur's close to losing his life, and Merlin's like, "Hey, gotta figure it out, buddy."
Yeah, and yeah, eventually Merlin has had enough with Roseanne Squirrel,
Yeah,
and finally he turns back into a human. It's like, see,
I'm a horrible old man.
yeah, and he like barks at her.
Yeah.
Which
So
is
he
so
turned
pathetic.
he turned Arthur back, and here comes the most heartbreaking part of
I felt
this movie.
horrible because like she is shocked and stunned and starts bawling,
Yeah,
running up the tree, bawling, gets into her little hidey hole in the tree, and you just hear her echoed cries
yeah.
coming
And
from
Merlin
this tree. And Merlin's
and
like,
Art
yeah.
that's life, bro. And Arthur's like, I've tried to tell her, and Arthur feels genuinely bad.
Yeah. Like,
And,
like there's part of you that's like, can you just like turn her into a human or something? Like you're
yeah,
because like,
yeah.
he even also implies like when they find a mate, they're mates for life. Does that mean she's donezo? She's never
Her life's over with.
you've destroyed this one. You've destroyed two squirrels' lives effectively. I think
Yeah,
Roseanne. I think Roseanne Squirrel will be able to bounce back. She seemed more.
but
She seemed more inconvenienced than um, defeated. Uh,
yeah, teenage squirrel is horrible. Like her life's ruined, and
and like,
everyone's like, "Lesson learned, kid." Like what?
yeah, I, I like. I don't even know what the lesson was at this point. Like, it was. Yeah, this whole scene is just the absolute pits, and, and
Yeah,
yeah. Um,
it, this is you go through this range of emotions with Merlin in this movie. Like, I don't like you, Merlin. There's parts of it where you genuinely don't like him.
yeah, I
Like,
genuinely, um, yeah, this scene I genuinely like Merlin, you're kind of an ass. Like I don't
yeah,
like what is your deal, man? Because like this is the only time where he's just really comes across as just like a grade A butthole. Like
yeah, he really does.
yeah,
But there's other parts of the movie where he's just like a Bugs Bunny level like antagonist,
yeah,
and it's funny. But
yeah,
this part, he's like, I'm going to break this creature's heart.
yeah.
Eh,
Yeah, he turns it. Yeah, he becomes a jerk again later on, but for a little more understanding circumstances. But
yeah,
still, he comes across as a jerk on it. But yeah, this whole squirrel thing is finally finished and done and over with. Uh, when it's revealed that to the people at the castle that the dishes are doing their own thing. So
are
you have
enchanted.
are enchanted. So the handmaid, who is she? She's like the only
I
time you
don't know.
see her. Yeah,
She shows up and she's like, "There's some sorcerer's apprentice BS happening in the
yeah.
kitchen right now."
I do. I absolutely love the visual of Hector in there sword fighting with these dishes.
Yeah,
Like he's just like slashing at him, smashing plates that are floating in the air, just like a real Legend of Zelda thing going on in here,
yeah,
just smashing these pots, floating
smashing these
around.
pots.
Yeah, just like it was a very funny visual to me. It got a little
Yeah,
chuckle out of me. Like he just charged in and it's just like this is like they're acting like their lives are in danger.
from
when
from
from,
dishware.
from dishes cleaning themselves, like, and they know immediately that it's Merlin, and at no point has Merlin ever done anything that's like be vaguely sort of like this, like no, and now they're gonna be like they're gonna pick up arms and attack you back, kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like it's clearly cleaning themselves. Chill out a little bit.
yeah,
I understand you being upset because effectively this old man talked your child into ditching his chores to go you you don't know what, but like took him out on a night on the town essentially.
and also he's basically ridiculing your way of life. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, you're an idiot.
yeah. So,
Merlin's a
so
bit of a hipster. Merlin's a
yeah,
little hipstery at times. This movie.
so uh, so at this point you have like so now he's it ruins everything, and they kick him out, as being Squire. Um, Merlin is like you could tell he's genuinely like, okay, I get it. I screwed this one up.
But not as upset as he should be.
Not as upset as he
He's
should
just
be.
like, well, that kind of
Yeah.
sucks. I could have handled that better.
Yeah.
That's kind of his attitude.
Yeah. But at this point, it's like as an apology, I am going to make you book smart, essentially. To, like, again, not really. This was your plan all along. Like, this is what
Right.
you've been trying to do this whole time. Now, this is just an excuse to double down, essentially. Um, which is which is when you get Arthur getting turned into um, a sparrow.
A sparrow.
Yeah.
It's just, and Merlin's like, well, this is how a bird works, and this is the point where Archimedes is like, hold up, dude.
Yeah. I'm an actual bird.
I'm an actual bird. Maybe I should show him.
Yeah, and Merlin's pouting at this point because Archimedes is kind of like, fine. It's like, because, Merlin's like, fine, you teach him then. You could, he's just kind of being a.
He's like, he's a bird, dude. He probably knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. But things, obviously, because it's a Disney movie and Arthur isn't actually a bird, things go wrong. And this is where you meet Madame Mim.
Who is just awesome.
Absolutely phenomenal character.
Yeah.
It's essentially an evil version of the godmothers that you've met in previous Disney movies.
Yeah.
She's like, what if the fairy godmother like had a child with the Mad Hatter? Like,
yeah,
it's like she's just like, it's like she has magic, but she's loonier than a tune.
Well, funny you mentioned that because I got a little bit of a witch Hazel vibe off of her.
There you go. Yeah. And as she explained, so eventually, it ends up where he's a bird and he can't turn himself back, and Madame Mim finds out that Merlin turned him into a bird.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to destroy you. Before this, she sings an awesome song about how evil and terrible she is.
Yeah, how terrible she is and how much better she is than Merlin, effectively. Yeah, it's a good. It's like a Muppets style song, like you expect to hear in like a Muppets movie or something. It's very good, that like an opposites kind of thing, like everything, like how evil she is, and she's like that throughout. Like her entire character arc is things like after the battle that they have. It's like, I don't like sunlight.
Well, it's funny because like this movie is stuck with me so often. Like when it's hot outside, I'll go, it's horrible, awful sunshine. Terrible sunshine.
Terrible healing sunshine. She even refers to it as like healing sunshine.
I think it's wholesome sunshine.
Wholesome sunshine.
Wholesome sunshine. Wholesome sunshine. Yes, because we get a wizard's duel before this.
We get the wizard's duel, which is the other scene from this that I remember because it is absolutely fantastic. It's so colorful and interesting, and the animation, it's probably the best animation throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of obviously growth and shrinking and rubber band elasticity and stuff going on because they're transforming all the
time. Mim turns into a pink version of Pete's dragon here.
She does, even though the rules that she said was no fake things like pink dragons. And yeah.
But Mim's a dirty cheater.
He's a dirty cheater. I liked it when she was the snake and he turns into the crab and he's just ready to just cut her head off.
Cut her head off.
It's absolutely like without a thought. Like twice. 2 separate occasions he just tries to cut her head clean off. It almost succeeds, but she turned into
a rhino.
A rhino. When he finally gets his claw on her, it's a horn. It's coming out of the hole. But yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, so Merlin eventually takes her down by turning into a flu bug?
Yeah.
A germ?
Yeah, I forget what the exact thing that he said was, but
Madam, I have not disappeared.
yeah.
I am a germ.
So
And
yeah,
you've caught me, ma'am.
yeah. So he just makes her sick, and she hot flashes, cold flashes. You get
Yeah.
spots, and it's the visual of the pink spotted dragon is sort of iconic from this movie.
Yeah.
Like I think it's on like the poster and everything for this.
Merlin kind of War of the Worlds her.
It's exactly what it is. I mean, he defeats her by making her sick,
Yeah.
And that's when you get the scene that we were talking about earlier, where it's like, and you need to get plenty of sunshine as he takes his little stick and gets through her thatching and her roof, and she's just very upset about it. You don't see her again throughout the movie.
No, which is a shame, but yeah.
And then you find out, so you have all this stuff, and then you find out shortly hereafter that Kay has been knighted, but his squire has the mumps.
Has the mumps, and so Arthur's his understudy.
Yeah, and gets in there, and Merlin is having none of
it. Merlin loses his mind.
He absolutely. He starts insulting like their way of life, and is like, it's good for a monkey or.
Yeah, he just goes, oh, very good, and Arthur comes in like he's excited, and Archimedes goes like, oh, very, very good, boy.
Archimedes is very supportive of Arthur in this endeavor.
Yeah,
Merlin, absolutely not. He just loses his mind. And leaves. This is the scene we were talking about earlier. He goes off.
Blow me to Bermuda.
Yeah, he goes to Bermuda.
He shoots propellant out of his butthole somehow, and he goes to Bermuda.
And you find out later, not only did he go to Bermuda, but he went to Bermuda, millennia into the future.
He went to 20th century Bermuda because he's literally wearing Bermuda shorts. It's just over there.
And he really is sort of like this. He's sort of like this prototype of genie later on, because he's making references that he has no business being able to make, but because he's a magician and he knows magic and can see into the future and clearly can travel through time itself. So yeah, it's the goofiest thing. He leaves Archimedes behind.
Yeah, well, at the same time though, I kind of like. If you notice, Arthur is a little bit more grounded and intelligent when he just has Archimedes with him.
Yeah, Archimedes is a supportive parent in this scenario. He's got tough love, but you can tell, he saved him and he congratulated him when he got made squire and everything.
Yeah,
Archimedes is more fatherly to Arthur than anyone else in this movie.
Archimedes is Gordon Ramsay on MasterChef Junior.
Yeah.
That's what I can describe it.
So you get to shoot forward to the day of the tournament. And
Arthur's forgot Kay's sword.
I forgot the sword at the inn. And it's closed, so he can't get in. So what happens, Nick? What happens? How is he going to get a sword in this movie called Sword in the Stone?
Well, Archimedes directs his attention to this church courtyard where, hey, there's a sword right there sticking out of an anvil.
Which is also inherently not a stone.
Yeah.
But semantics.
Yep. So he pulls the sword out. He goes forward Forward in time.
Yeah, when he wakens, he's 14 years old.
Yeah.
And
he has a hook shot somehow.
yeah, and the town is overrun by what appear to be zombies.
Yeah.
We are talking about the wrong thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, I like the very video game style. Like his hand goes towards it, and the lights turn on, and he's like, "Stop!"
It's you almost want to see like buttons for a quick time event pop up. What don't you?
Yeah. Again, Don Bluth style. You're expecting it's like push left.
Yeah.
But yeah, with without a thought, he just gets his sword out, just pulls it out, nothing, no big deal, because he has no idea that this is what the sword is. So when he reappears at the tournament with the sword, everyone is immediately recognizes like, oh crap.
Kay's like, this isn't my sword.
Yeah, Kay's an idiot as usual. Like it's a absolutely stunning sword, but he's like, this is mine. Like, it's
like
clean.
This is a better sword.
It's like gilded and gorgeous, and stunning and big, and he's like, no, I want my. But then Ector recognizes right away. It's like, oh, hey, what?
This has got some stuff written on it. Whosoever holdeth this sword, be he worthy. Power of Thor.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's effectively the same story.
Yeah, it is. Think about it.
I mean, everything's based on everything else. But yeah, so the tournament is ground to a halt, never gets off the ground because they need to like, okay, where did you get this?
They put the sword back in the stone because they don't believe Arthur pulled it out.
Yeah, and like I said, and I do like it's the one time that Kay has a decent thought in his head in this, where it's like, it's already pulled it out. You should just be able to pull it out again and again. Yeah. Which is a good point. Like, but let him do it first and prove it. It was a good point made. And he couldn't do it. Him and Ector couldn't together pull the sword out.
We also get our good friend Thurl Ravenscroft making another appearance here. Let the boy try. Like, easy there, baritone. Good God.
But yeah, and I love that the light, like, again, before he even gets his hand on there, the light starts coming in, which should be hint number one that everything's on the up and up to all the onlookers. Like,
yeah,
like what?
Where's the chorus of angels coming from?
And then he pulls the sword out, and it is like, oh man, he's the king. And Ector immediately repents.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Ector's like, he backpedals super fast, like, oh, I'm sorry, son.
Yeah, please don't have my head cut off.
Because that's the thing is, like, every time I watch this movie, this part, I'm like, if Arthur has the least bit of malice in his heart, it's like, sweet, I know who's getting executed tomorrow.
or at least just like, I'm gonna put you in some stocks for the weekend or something. Yeah. Like, but yeah, and it's funny because like I bet you, like, if this movie were made when it was originally sort of gonna come out, because of pact protection stuff, like, he bought the rights to this shortly after the book came out. And they've been sort of working on it off and on for a while, but then, as is usually most of the stories play out, World War II happens, and so that doesn't happen, and then, like, they're working on, other movies took longer than they anticipated, i.e. Bambi, because remember, Bambi took forever for them to get it out. And so it's just a movie that, like, fell to the wayside. But I think if this came out in, like, the 30s or early 40s, like envisioned, it probably would have ended there. I think he would have pulled it out, and everyone had been like, it would have ended on a scene of him, like, holding the sword, and then
long live the king.
Yeah, long live the king, and that would have been the end of it. But we're at a different time, and different Disney's in a different place now. So you get a bit of an epilogue at this point because Merlin hasn't reappeared. So
you get your after credits scene here.
Yeah.
Your post credit stinger.
Yeah. So yeah, you have Arthur sitting in the throne room with Archimedes. I love that Archimedes is just his faithful sidekick now. He's completely claimed him. He's just perched up in there.
With a crown and a robe that are too big for him.
Too big for him. He'll grow into it.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
And he's absolutely miserable. He doesn't want to be there. I
don't want to be king.
Yeah, I like Archimedes. I told you not to take the sword. But then he wants to just run away, sneak away. Opens up one door, the side door. Long live the king! Crowd chanting and yelling and all that stuff. Tries to go out another door, same thing. So he can't get away. He's trapped. He just can't sneak out and run off. So he just wishes Merlin were here. And like the end of Aladdin, here comes the genie in his Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. Merlin looking like Master Roshi here.
Master Roshi. The first thought I had.
Hey, cool.
It is.
I brought some magazines back for you.
Yeah, it is virtually the same exact character design. But yeah,
he comes back a little pig sidekick, and
yeah, he comes back from 20th century Bermuda, telling us that it's miserable there and they can keep it. And I'm like, that seems fair.
Yeah,
that seems fair. Yeah. That seems fair, Merlin. I understand. But
he makes reference to television now.
He's making reference to he makes reference to they'll make a motion. It's like explaining to him like no, this is where you're supposed to be. They're gonna tell stories about you for centuries. They're gonna they may even make a motion picture about you. Ha ha, breaking the fourth wall, tongue in cheek sort of nonsense. What's a motion picture? It's like television, only without commercials. And again, it's just it very is. He's very much like in a couple of decades, this is the genie character. It's very similar in tone of what he's doing because he knows everything. And yeah, it explains him that you're going to go on to create the Knights of the Round Table,
or square if you prefer. Round's fine.
Yeah, Merlin is on the verge of absolutely destroying the delicate fabric of time.
He really is. Merlin is a walking spoiler alert.
Yeah, he even has stuff like he has the little steam train toy. He has the flying machine.
Yeah.
All of this stuff that it's like, boy, Hector is going to start slowly disappearing from a painting any minute now.
Yeah, Arthur's going to play Johnny B. Good on Excalibur.
Yeah, but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, look. I don't know if you saw not the most recent, but the last proper Transformers movie.
No, I haven't.
According to that, this movie is full of it because Merlin's magic is Autobots tech. Mm-hmm. It's Cybertronian tech. That's where all the dragons and stuff come from. They were Transformers. They're Cybertronian. So that's all the dragons and magic and everything. Like his magic staff was. This is not a goof. That's how that movie starts. It starts with Merlin getting Cybertronian tech for magic. It's
It is crazy. And it's also the part where where Merlin's like they'll make like you said, they'll make motion pictures out of you. Yeah. Capcom will make a side-scrolling beat 'em up about you.
You're gonna be in there's gonna be so much. You're gonna be everywhere. You're gonna be part of pop culture for the rest of
It's like,
human existence.
I don't care how much Morgana comes onto you. Do not sleep with her for the love of all that is good and holy. She's your sister, bro.
So that's Sword in the Stone.
That's sort of
Uh,
stuff.
it's it's you may be wondering, based off of 101 Dalmatians' success, Sleeping Beauty was an absolute failure. How did this movie do?
I bet it
Pretty
did well.
well. It
Yeah.
was the sixth highest grossing movie of 1963.
Well,
It made its theatrical earnings in 1963 were like 4.7 million. So that's pretty success. I mean, this. I read somewhere that the budget of this was 40% less than 101 Dalmatians. This is like much. This is more budget film for them.
you can see it.
Yeah, oh yeah. And it had a budget of 3 million, and I think 101 Dalmatians was 7 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and it made 4.75 in its initial theatrical run. Uh, so, yeah, success. Again, at this point in time, these cartoons are a small fraction of the Disney business. So, a success is a success regardless. It had a re-release, one re-release in 1983, um, and it made $12 million in 1983 in theaters. So overall, it made its money back multiple times over.
Right.
It's sort of genuinely considered sort of like the lost Disney movie because it's one that nobody thinks of.
Yeah.
It's just sort of nobody thinks of it as part of this lineage because it sort of feels in some ways like this is a Disney movie that came out in the 80s on tape,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I can see that.
yeah, and tonally, this movie is very much a like that era of Disney. It's a much different feeling movie. I feel like like its jokes are much like it's going for much more contemporary pop culture jokes throughout with Merlin and everything.
It's very on the nose.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's breaking the fourth wall sometimes. Like with the motion picture stuff and Merlin knowing about 20th century things and stuff. Like it's a very interesting story, and at the time, critically, middle of the road. People are like, there's not really anything here. It's the narrative wise, it's kind of the thinnest of thin, and it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, for it's a movie called The Sword and the Stone, and the Sword and the Stone aspect only plays 12 seconds of overall screen time.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the thing, would you have wanted to see the entire Arthurian legend, though?
Absolutely not. I think this is the exact, and I think that was also the point when they made this one too, because at the time when this came out, Camelot, the Broadway Camelot, had just come out, was brand new, and that's telling the after part of this essentially.
And this is the Kennedy's office, and it's referred to as Camelot, and
yeah. So it makes sense that it's just like the plucky, upbeat prequel. With the real Camelot being out there, like you can, and the books were still huge. And he was making even more of them. Like this ended up being a massive franchise for the author. He died. He died shortly after this movie came out. So he did the movie came out in his lifetime, which is good because like in one of his journals, he wrote that my book is going to be one of the next big Disney movies, which didn't happen for like another 20 years by the time he wrote that. But
it happened.
It happened, and it happened within his lifetime. So barely, but it happened.
I mean, so I think, and I agree with you that I'm glad they ended it where they did because, hey, if you want to see the entire Arthurian tale, that movie's called Excalibur, and it's long.
I think they told the right story for a cartoon. Like, if they wanted to do Excalibur, that's what the Disney live action stuff is for.
Yeah.
I mean, you have these. At this point, you already have Disney doing stuff like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and these big scope large scope live action sort of period pieces and stuff. So, if they really wanted to do that, that would have been the way to do it. But this version of this story is exactly what they needed. And it got lost in the shuffle, which is a shame. But
it is a shame. It's a huge shame.
Yeah. The only award that it was nominated for was Best Score at the Academy Awards. Didn't win.
Really so?
It didn't win. It lost to I forget what it was. It was a Jack Lemmon, Shirley MacLaine movie, but I forget the title of.
The Apartment? Or the Fortune Cookie? Or
yeah, something like that. I can't remember. But yeah. Yeah, the soundtrack's great.
Yes, it really is.
The Sherman Brothers did phenomenal, and the score stuff is very, very good. This is also, production-wise, very interesting. This is the first time they ever had a single director.
Really?
On an anime thing. Yeah, it's always been sort of a joint project on everything. This is the first time they had one director. And it was Wolfgang Reitherman, Wooly Reitherman, as he was most commonly known as. And this sort of assumption is that he was easy for Walt to manipulate, essentially. Like, he was, it wasn't like, he wasn't going to be stubborn, He was easy to deal with.
He was a company man.
Yeah, he was towing the company line kind of stuff. So, we were talking about Archimedes would go on to be Rabbit in Winnie the Pooh. The voice sounds familiar. Is Rabbit in Winnie the Pooh. So it's like, yeah, it's funny. Like, the character of Owl and the character of Archimedes aren't the same. So I'm glad they did it just I had to really do it, but because Rabbit is closer to being kind of Archimedes.
The fussiness,
and sort of there is sort of a parental thing going on there.
Yeah,
but also is able to sort of cut loose a little bit when it needs to. So yeah, that was fun. I thought that was fun and interesting.
Yeah.
Because we're only a little bit away from
the Many Adventures,
which is a personal favorite. I love it. Just Winnie the Pooh. I think it's a personal favorite of a lot of people because it's sort of.
Oh yeah.
It's the thing that's good about that movie, and we'll get to it when we get in a few weeks, is that it's very low impact.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about too much with that movie. But yeah. I love this movie.
Me too.
It's had it's out on Blu-ray, which is nice. Some of these things, especially ones like this, may not see the light of day or are hard to get, but it's not particularly hard to get on Blu-ray, and it's a nice transfer. I was really impressed.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good.
It looks really good. It looks better than I expected. It seems like because it was the 50th anniversary that they put it out for a couple years ago. And it's you could tell they actually sort of did stuff. They actually cleaned it up. And there's some people don't necessarily like what some of the cleanup does with some of these Disney movies and how they clean them up. But I still think it looks phenomenal.
And also, this movie could only benefit from cleaning things up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get to one of my favorite parts of everything, and we sort of talk about the legacy after this movie came out. We're talking about, it wasn't necessarily, it's sort of the lost one. Even to this day, it's probably one of the least, I was going to say least talked about, but obviously the least talked about ones are the ones we talked about a few weeks ago with all the 40s World War II stuff. Because there's nothing there. They're all nothingness.
But as far as mainline, traditional Disney movies,
single subject, this one, even to this day, not particularly sort of picked up on. It doesn't make anyone's lists. When you see my favorite Disney movies and stuff.
I feel like this and Great Mouse Detective are kind of in that same oh, was that a movie? Oh, right.
Yeah. I Yeah, Great Mouse Detective is a weird one for people because they also just assume that it's not a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Like this one feels like a Disney movie. Like Great Mouse Detective, you could probably like, wasn't that from the people that made American Tail? Like
Yeah.
no,
Wasn't it
no,
the 5 movie? Yeah.
yeah, no, it's different thing. But like it had uh, it's appeared elsewhere. Um, it doesn't. Merlin, you see a lot at Disneyland, like theme park attraction wise.
He's in Kingdom Hearts, I assume.
I was, I would assume everyone's in Kingdom Hearts from this
Yeah.
because it makes
Well, I
sense.
mean, not Arthur, but I could totally see Merlin being in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, um, but yeah, it's what else you got? You got so, but in terms of like theme park stuff, there's no like I was gonna say there's no attraction, but that's not true because the carousel is King Arthur's carousel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and it has at the base of it is the sword and the stone,
Yeah.
which becomes a sort of I think it's sort of disappeared in recent years.
The sword did.
The sword did like they don't do the sword's still there, but they don't do the show.
Okay.
But
Oh,
like it used to be a show. It used to be a show. Like you could go there and there was a sword and an anvil. Let's say anvil for some reason, and I have no idea where that
Well,
came from.
actually, until you mentioned the carousel, I would have said there was no attraction. So hey, there you go.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's King Arthur's carousel, and they have the sword and the stone where you can like pull out you call up a kid, and like you have the adults out there and they can't pull it out, and then the kid shows up and there's a magnet in there and they can just like deactivate it for the kids. The kid can pull the sword out. It's like yay, you're king of Fantasyland for the day, kind of thing. Um, so that's good. Parades and stuff like that. So it has a a place at the theme parks.
As a theme park.
You see it. Madam Mim inexplicably got co-opted.
Really?
In the comic books, she is part of the Duckverse, essentially.
Really?
Yeah, she's. You see her with Magica and the Beagle Boys every once in a while. She'll show
Well,
up.
I mean, if you consider that she's about equal in power to Merlin, who has reality-shattering powers,
Yeah,
you can kind of buy it.
yeah, she can jump from reality to reality, much like Doctor Strange can. It just gets her.
Yeah.
She gets
I,
her
th-
space stoned and can travel to another dimension.
I think Mammoth also showed up on the what's it, the Mickey House of Mouse villains
Yes,
thing.
yeah,
I
yes.
think
That
I think she,
Mickey's House of Villains was one thing
yeah.
that she showed. Yeah. So yeah, she shows up in that stuff. She's in the what's the Sega Genesis World of
Castle of
Illusion.
Illusion,
World
World
of
of
Illusion.
Illusion.
She's one of the boss fights in World of Illusion.
Okay,
Um, so yeah, you have that, and yeah, Merlin is all in Kingdom Hearts. So
okay.
so
I don't know. I just assumed he
yeah,
was.
yeah, and and no sequel.
But
Um,
rumors of a live action movie.
yep, there is. It's not even really rumors. It's like there is going to be a live action. Disney Plus, their streaming service, is going to have live action versions of everything that's not going to be theatrically released is going to appear on that. And I feel like all of these things. That's I'm, I don't know. I don't think the movie will be good because I don't think like you some of these stories you're going to lose a lot by losing the animation part of it.
Yeah, and we're literally getting a King Arthur kids movie coming out like right now.
Yeah, there's as we speak in theaters.
Yeah,
It's the kid who would be king. Is
yeah,
that? Yeah,
yeah. It's a modern take on the legend, but yeah,
yeah, and King Arthur, kid in King Arthur's court, and all this kind of stuff. Like
yeah.
King Arthur stuff exists everywhere in film. Like every year, you'll find something that's like I said. Transformers had some King Arthur nonsense in it.
Yeah.
So
You have to wonder though, like how far they'll go, like with the story. Like, will they
yeah,
go deeper into the part where you know
I don't think so.
to
I guess
the Holy Chalice and Lancelot
because
and
I feel like they would have to be a time jump like to
yeah,
do that because like, if they cast a child then they have to cast a more grown-up man to do some of this other Arthurian stuff. And then by that point, by the time you get through the whole, he pulled the sword out as a child, and now, time jump 20 years into the future or something, 10
Yeah.
years into the future or whatever, so I don't
He's
know.
just gonna Shazam into a more powerful king.
My only hope is that people see it's like, it's okay, but it's nowhere near as good as the cartoon. Like, if you haven't seen the cartoon, watch the cartoon. It's on there too. I don't know how Disney Plus is going to work. I'm hoping Sword of the Stone will be on Disney Plus.
I just need this darn thing to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that is that. I think it's time to rank it, Nick.
Okay.
Are you ready to rank it?
Let's do it.
Are you prepared?
Yep.
I'm not. That's a shame because I need to bring up the list. Okay, here we go. Luckily, I had the list pre-opened. I didn't know that. Past me is looking out for future me. So,
Bermuda JJ is put him out.
Nick, is it better or worse than Dumbo?
Hey, no surprise. This is my number one movie right now.
I knew that going into it, but without really fully knowing it. I knew it was going to be 1, 2, 3. I knew it was going to be in there. I assumed. I was thinking my heart was telling me 2, but probably 1. But
yeah.
I'm going to put it here. Sword. All right. Wow. Number 1. Sword in the Stone.
It's not going to stay there long, but it's there.
It's there. So for me, my number 1, and still number 1, is Fantasia. I like Cinderella more than it. I like Snow White more than this movie, but I do not like it more than Peter Pan. This is now my number 4 on my list.
That's higher than I would have thought for you.
I absolutely love this movie.
Yeah.
When I put it on, I was like, oh, I haven't seen this in a long time, and I was hooked. Like, that opening song was like, wow, this is like cool. Like the way they present it with the opening song, and like I said, I hate the look of this movie for the most part.
Yeah, the thing is, if it was a better looking movie, can you imagine?
Yeah, if this movie came out 10 years earlier, this movie would probably be just stunning. Or even if it came out before, at around the time of Cinderella, where that's what they were working with, where they were doing these crazy backgrounds and stuff. But I think what hurts, the animation is fine, but I think it's the backgrounds and all the other stuff, because it's all Xerox stuff and things like that, and so it all comes across as cheap and budgety, which it is, and it absolutely, if it looked slightly better, I probably would have put it. It's hard for me to say because I don't want to put it above Snow White, because Snow White, I love Snow White so much, and it's the first one, and it's stunning and it's gorgeous and it's got great music. So right now it's it's 4, but if it were slightly better, it'd be a couple of
it could be a 2 or 3 maybe.
3. There's on a good day you might make it to 3, but at this point there's no way it's going to make it to a 3 or to a 3.
Yeah,
4 is where it's going to be at. It's not going to stay at 4.
Yeah, full disclosure, this movie is going to get bumped down. I would say sooner than later.
Yeah, virtually instantly, it's going to drop the spot.
Virtually instantly, yeah, it's going to get bumped down.
But
spoilers, folks.
Spoilers. But not spoilers for next week, because next week we're not going to do a cartoon.
Yeah.
We're going to take a little break from the cartoons to do another annex one like we did for Mickey Mouse Christmas one. So this is Walt's last animated film that he worked on that came out during his lifetime. The next movie, the next cartoon, will be Jungle Book, and that will be the last one that he had his hand in. But I think it would sort of behoove us to talk about probably one of his last big film releases during his lifetime, and that would be Mary Poppins.
A personal favorite of yours and mine.
Yes, you don't have to do any spoilers or anything. We're not ranking it or anything, but yes, we both absolutely love Mary Poppins, and it's got animation stuff in it. It's got the Sherman brothers, and this is sort of a non-canonical episode of.
So stay tuned for our Bed Knobs and Broomsticks episode.
But it's probably going to happen at some point.
I'm sure it is. I'm not. I only say that half jokingly. I know that we'll do it eventually.
So Mary Poppins. There's a sequel out now. There's a whole biopic thing about the making of this movie that Disney put out with Tom Hanks as Walt. This is a big movie, and it's a good stopgap. I was explaining to Nick. I think it's good to sort of. It's the movie that we're going to use it to separate the timeline, essentially, because now we're going. Everything after this one is post Walt.
And it's good to have a movie like this as a stopgap that we both love. So you'll hear our enthusiasm come through next week.
So that's it. But that's so. And then after that, we'll pick back up into our typical normal operating procedure. I think we should talk about one thing that I almost completely forgot about.
The bonus that came with this movie.
Yeah, when this originally ran in theaters. The short that came with it was the Disney classic, The Lonesome Ghosts.
Yeah. Which is it the first time we get the three of them together? Or is that Mickey's trailer?
No, I think Mickey's trailer came out after this.
Okay.
Because this came out almost hand in hand with Snow White.
Okay.
So this original release was in the 30s, and I think Mickey's trailer was later than that. I'm sure Mickey's trailer was later than that.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I could look it up. I'm on the internet. I could look it up, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But we're not going to spend a lot of time. We're not going to rank it or anything. We just wanted to talk about the Lonesome Ghosts because Lonesome Ghosts is absolutely a phenomenal Mickey Mouse short cartoon.
Mickey, Donald, Goofy.
Yes, Mickey, Donald, Goofy, the three of the Fab Five together in one short, which is not particularly common.
Yeah.
And it is basically Ghostbusters.
To the point where I think, doesn't Goofy say, "I'm not afraid of no ghosts" at some point?
Yeah.
So they're running Ajax Pest Control, is it?
Yep. Ajax Ghost Exterminators.
Ghost Exterminators.
Yeah.
Donald's ready to believe you.
Yeah. One of my favorite is Goofy in it. There's a good exchange between Goofy and Donald at the end of this that I absolutely love, where he's like, "I'm brave, but I'm careful."
I think you're talking about Goofy stabbing himself in his own butt with a fork.
Yeah. "I'm brave, but I'm careful." Donald is like, "So you can't take it." And that's where Goofy says, "I ain't scared of no ghosts."
Yeah.
So, I like the part where because they're bumbling fools, they just end up covered in molasses and flour.
Yeah, which scares the actual ghost. Yeah. Who, by the way, they're only there to, I guess, exterminate these ghosts because the ghosts called them because they were bored.
They were bored, and they're the lonesome ghosts. They're lonely.
I just like the ghost. Come quick.
Yeah. I see the ghosts in this, and you think this is very clearly they saw this and got Haunted Mansion inspiration from this.
Oh yeah.
They're very clearly vaguely Hitchhiking Ghost style kind of.
Yeah.
Their dress and everything very poppery and stuff. I also like the visual of Mickey Mouse with a shotgun.
It's super weird. It's super weird. Like that's what's gonna wipe out a ghost.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like Goofy's got like, got an axe or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
You are the ghost exterminators. You
Yes.
should know better than this.
They are not corporeal.
But yeah, it's basically just a bunch of ghosts playing tricks on Mickey, Goofy, and Donald because they're bored and they know that these guys are hunting ghosts. So,
and correctly assume that they're all stupid.
yes, yes, this is also peak uh, of all of these characters. These characters are all still at their peak. Like Goofy is about to break through to be big. Donald's huge. Mickey is still Mickey-esque in a lot of ways. So it's this is like peak Disney era for these shorts and stuff. It's there's not much to talk about other than the fact that this is so good. It's I saw it when I was doing the research, and I saw that this was what was attached to it, and I was like, man, we gotta talk about Lones and Ghosts just a little bit. We don't get to talk. There's not a lot of places to talk about these shorts. Like,
no.
Occasionally they'll tie in with something every now and then, but for the most part, like, you don't really get a whole lot of stuff. I will say that there's a short coming up with one of the movies that we're absolutely going to talk about, which I don't know if you've seen it in a while, but it's great, and we're absolutely going to talk about it when we get there. We'll talk about it off air.
Part of the reason I love this short, and I like it more now than I used to, is because I talk about it almost every week how I love the new Mickey Mouse shorts.
Yeah.
And they have the Mickey, Donald, Goofy dynamic, and I just like the three of them together.
Yeah.
I love the three of them together.
They're always so fun because you've said multiple times that Mickey's trailer is like your favorite Mickey Mouse cartoon.
Yeah.
And like, yeah. And look, I don't think it's come up on this particular show, but anyone that knows me, it is no surprise that Ghostbusters is like my jam. Like, I love Ghostbusters. It is probably my favorite movie of all time.
JJ and I mean, JJ is a bigger Ghostbuster fan than I am, but he's only because I have a couple movies ahead of it, but we both share a love of Ghostbusters.
Yes, like I have a costume that I can put on and fully decked out proton pack and everything, just ready to go if I ever need to. Like, I love Ghostbusters, and this is Ghostbusters. I Ain't Afraid of No Ghost is literally appears in this. I mean, not the exact same phrasing, but like you very clearly, like Ray Parker Jr. straight up just saw this and said, "I'm using that."
Yeah, Ray Parker Jr. ripped off two things apparently.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal from this. I'm gonna steal from Mickey Mouse, and I'm gonna steal from Huey Lewis. And nobody can stop me except you're immediately stopped.
Nobody can stop me except the trajectory of my own career. I've talked about this before. Like, just like I'll have Ghostbusters on as background. I won't only be watching it. I'll just have it on as background.
And when we get to our with Lones and Ghosts, we always to go to things like we talk about, its legacy afterwards. This appears in like everything, like these ghosts or whatever. Like it was in Mickey's Magical Quest 2.
Okay.
They appear in there as like NPC helpful characters. Mickey Mania. They're in Mickey Mania. They're in.
They're in Epic Mickey, right?
They're in Epic Mickey. Yes, they're in the Wasteland, and they have names.
Yeah.
in Mickey.
Yeah, you're right. They do. I don't know what they are offhand.
I know one of them was Ian. I remember it being Ian because I have a friend named Ian.
Okay.
But yeah, they're that, and and they're like in House of Mouse and all that. Like they show up, they're everywhere. They keep they like they're good. They're good to put into a video game because they're very easy to just plop in. Like they're ghosts and they all look the same.
One of our where I live, we have a local independent station, And back in the early 90s, when they would run a Disney movie, they would always inevitably just show Lonesome Ghost right after it for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, okay. Yeah.
Well, and it was one of those, like, do you remember Fisher Price had those crank-powered movie player things? That's like little kids. You put in like a little cartridge, turn a crank.
Yeah.
And Lonesome Ghosts was one of them. I mean, they made them all silent and everything, but like Ghosts was one of them. I remember that as a kid. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's everywhere. It's this weirdly, and you look at like Wikipedia for this, and it shows like how many times it's been re-released. 1937, it had its theatrical release. 1954, it was on episode 1 of Disneyland. 1963, it was released with Sword in the Stone. 1968, it was on Mickey's Wonderful World of Color. 72, Mouse Factory, episode 5. 77, Wonderful World of Disney. Like, it just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
It's getting re-released in all the DVDs that it's on. Releases, like I have one of the Disney Treasures sets, in Living Color Volume 1 has it on there.
It's an iconic Disney short. It's iconic.
And it's also apparently a bonus feature on the DVD of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which a movie
did not. Yeah.
So, yay! This movie is phenomenal.
It's great. It's great. If you're a Ghostbuster fan, like watch it.
Yeah.
Even if you're not, though, but still, especially if you're a Ghostbuster fan, watch it and you'll go like, oh,
yeah, you can see it wouldn't be. It's not too far of a stretch to think that Dan Aykroyd had some inspiration from a Mickey Mouse cartoon from the 30s.
If nothing else, it inspired the Funimation Ghostbusters.
Filmation, thank you very much.
Filmation, sorry, not Funimation.
Funimation, yeah, the anime Ghostbusters.
The anime Ghostbusters. It's just Goofy powering up for 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah, just to release a spirit bomb right on his own butt.
At least it's not a spirit bomb out of his butt.
Yeah, I very recently saw the Broly movie, so I'm going to be making much more Dragon Ball Z references going forward. But that's a whole different podcast and a whole different era of time. Yeah, Disney Compendium, Season 6, no more Disney. But until then, and until next week, again, we're doing Mary Poppins, not a cartoon, although it does have cartoons in it.
Yeah.
But I'm very much looking forward to that. And
as am I.
And obviously after that, we get back to cartoons with The Jungle Book.
Which I'm also excited for.
Very excited for The Jungle Book. But until then, thank you all again for joining us. I appreciate it. Just like, subscribe, favorite, find me on Twitter, _double_J. Retweet every time I mention this. Tell people about it. It's great. I have a lot of fun doing it, and I know Nick enjoys my company.
Yeah. I do. I love doing this show, and share it. Like when you're driving in your car, just lean your head out the window, yell at strangers on the street, Disney Compendium.
Yeah, I mean, you just go to DisneyCompendium.com. We'll take anyone there. You can just I don't know, deface public property. I don't care. Just
deface public property.
Yeah, what are they gonna do? Arrest? What are they gonna do? Arrest you? I'm not getting arrested. I don't care.
Yeah. If you're gonna write a crazy person manifesto, hey, slip us in a mention. Why not?
Yeah. Unless it's,
okay. With some exceptions.
There's some caveats to people that I would want to be writing manifestos. But
yeah.
But you know what? We've derailed this buggy. So
yeah.
I think it's time to go. And as I'm leaving, I want to say, have a magical day.
Bye.